Well, welcome CAA fans to our new segment called CAA on the Front Lines, as we will feature former CAA student athletes that are in the trenches of this COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we welcome former UNCW women's soccer student athlete Savannah Andrews. Savannah, first, thank you for joining us, everything you've been doing during this time. Let's first begin with your current title and where you are working currently during this pandemic.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. I am currently at VCU Health System, and I work on the STICU surgical trauma ICU floor, and I am what they call a care partner, so I basically assist the nurses or doctor in patients' care with whatever they may need that's under my scope of practice.
Savannah, what inspired you to pursue nursing?
Well, to be honest, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I just love to serve at the end of the day. That's I wanted to do something where I could serve and I could enjoy serving, and that I could have an environment that was team oriented. I'm all about teamwork, and that's something that's huge for me, and having that support and being able to support others as well while having the same end goal. So that's kind of where that came from. But additionally, a lot of family experience in the hospitals with certain issues and sicknesses is definitely what tipped that iceberg into definitely this is where I want to go. And it was because of the nurses and the care that my families were receiving that I was like, wow, that's so impactful. It's awesome. And that was truly where the inspiration kind of truly set forth.
Savannah, in your role at the VCU hospital right now, how have you been a part of this fight against COVID-19?
Let's see. So in the hospital, I guess I should also mention I do work at urgent care, so I am doing COVID testing directly in a separate note. So I'm in the hospital, it's a little different, and the nurses do most and all of the work. As a care partner, I'm running to get the supplies for the nurses. They can't come out of those rooms. They're with the COVID patient. So a lot of, I guess, just support on the back line for the nurses and the providers. But there are times where it's, hey, can we get this every 2-hour turn in? I need somebody, so I might have to go in there with the nurse to do that turn, Other than that, we try not to spend as much time in those rooms just for the sake of our own health and safety. But obviously, the nurses are bold and they're stepping up to the plate and taking care just as they would any other patient. So at the end of the day, it has become a normal for some, and you have to do what you got to do.
Absolutely, and we definitely appreciate all that you have been doing and all the nurses around the world right now. How has your work been in the COVID-19 units and what you've been doing during the pandemic maybe different than what you thought you'd be normally doing prior to this pandemic?
So to be honest, I had no expectations. I had shadowed this floor once before and quickly was like, wow, this is awesome. Like the adrenaline, the surgery trauma, like just kind of that nature of you don't know what's going to happen. And I think I love the unexpected. You always got to stay ready to some extent and just be prepared for something to happen. That's just that's the same thing as in the unit. Whereas when you're on the soccer field, just stay ready and know what you're good at so you can help out where it's needed and know your strengths. So when I got here, I actually joined maybe 6 to 7 weeks ago, right smack dab when COVID started. So when I got there, I don't think they knew what to do with me 100% during orientation. And so I had to quickly just adjust and go with the flow. And that was pretty much it. I can't wait to find out what the normal is on the floor and what normal populations and normal protocols and routines and care is like. But I do know that all patients on the floor have been taken very well care of, but with a little slight extra precaution, which is obviously important. But I'm enjoying it, and I've learned so much, and it's allowed me to be resilient as well as just stay quick on my toes, which I know that floor is about being quick on your toes. You have to be a critical thinker and be able to deal with the unexpected. But this was a big curveball that got thrown in there as well.
Indeed. And how did your experiences playing college soccer help you prepare for you in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic?
Let's see. I guess soccer was always a passion, so that's why I did it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have done it. But soccer was a passion, just like serving others and taking care of others is a passion. So I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to put forth that effort and to take care of patients and to help out and serve. But I would say the biggest thing is, like in soccer, you don't know what your opponent's bringing. You don't know how they're going to play that game. You don't know what the game's going to go like. But I know what I can bring to the table on the soccer field. And I know what I can't bring to the field on the soccer field. That's, and with that being said, I also know my teammates. I always knew my teammates what they could bring. So asking them to do something that wasn't going to be beneficial to the end goal of the team is kind of the same thing in the on the floor in the STICU. There's things that nurses and doctors each separately have in their practice that I can't be a part of. So when it comes to a situation or it comes to helping out a nurse or helping out a provider, I need to remember my strengths and what my role of practice is so that I can beneficially like help that patient versus I say like just getting in the way, kind of like on the field, get out of the way so we can each do our part and achieve that end goal.
Awesome.
And I think the last thing I add is teamwork is huge. Teamwork is absolutely huge. That goes along with what I just said, but at the end of the day, it's a teamwork mentality for sure.
And Savannah, speaking of teammates, you found out on your unit that you actually had an opponent who is now a teammate, former Towson soccer player, Gabby Scirica. And let's bring her on. Gabby, first of all, thank you for everything you've done. And just talk about how all this transpired where you two kind of met and found out you played soccer or played against each other and both played in the CAA.
Hi, well, thanks for having me, first of all. It's an honor to be here. So me and Savannah met a few months ago. On the board, they usually write our names and like what we started doing with the COVID pandemic was training some previous OR nurses and PACU nurses as well as some care partners because we knew we would need some additional help on the unit. So they paired me with Savannah to kind of bring her through orientation for the day, have her see what I was doing and help me out. So we just kind of met and started talking because I always reference being a soccer player and how useful it is on the unit. And so we kind of connected there, and then we asked each other our ages, and it turns out we like overlapped and actually played against each other. So it was really funny. We like went through everything. We're like, oh my God, when did you play? And it's just one of those like small world moments.
And Savannah, once you found out that that Gabby started bringing you along, you had a lot in common. Obviously, the big thing playing in the CAA, playing college soccer. How comfortable did that make you? During your training.
I thought it was cool. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Like she was probably one of the first people in the unit that I truly meshed with and like was able to have conversations and just that friendly, hello, goodbye, have a great day, how can I help you kind of attitude. And like that was super awesome and just super warming and welcoming. But then to have somebody where you can like connect on that other level, like there's just that mentality of competitiveness, but accurateness and just, I don't know, you share something special with a former athlete, even if it's a opponent, which I think is awesome as well, because when you're on the field, sometimes I know I had this thought of, sometimes I hope I never see these people again. There's times where you're like, oh my gosh, this game just got really rough. But then doing what you also love is so awesome. Like we, as soccer players or athletes, we share a lot in common. We compete with a lot as well, but at the end of the day, when you look like inside of us at our hearts, like there's a lot that we share, and to have that good heart and that willingness to serve and to take care of patients, that's just a total different bond. And that was just so cool. So of course I naturally snapped that picture. It was like, oh my gosh, like I'll have to send it to whoever I send it to. And then UNCW just kind of put it out there. But it's a special bond, and I think it's cool. And I think I look forward to hopefully I would love to work in the STICU going forward once I graduate nursing school, because I'm currently in nursing school. And I just think that this was a great start, and I look forward to, how it develops and our relationship develops going forward. So.
And Gabby, how easy does it to kind of spread teamwork in a unit like this when, you have so much in common in regards to soccer with Savannah, and that she played on a team at a collegiate level? How easy is it or how great is it to have someone else like Savannah on the unit to be able to kind of spread, unity and teamwork during such a crisis like this?
I think it's super important. It's not, so teamwork is super important on the STICU. I feel like, it's important on any level of any unit in the nursing profession, but you just have no idea what's going to happen with any patient. Like, they could be stable pairs, or they could be the most stable patient, and then it could go downhill real quick. So you always have to rely on the person next to you. And I think it was funny how we said we were opponents in college, and you share that competitiveness against one another, and then you find this one commonality once you graduate, and it kind of brings you on the same level, and so to speak. What you've been through college. It's a different experience being an athlete, and just to bring that into the STICU and the nursing profession, especially when they throw that curveball at you, a pandemic. It just feels like you can really rely on somebody else because they've been through a similar experience that you have.
Yeah, that's
Can
great.
I add to that?
Oh, yes.
I think also, Gabby, for instance, we've shared that competitiveness, but also think about on the field, if my captain or my higher, someone who's been there longer at the program, I'm going to listen to them. They know what's up. They know what's going on in the field. They know maybe they've played this opponent before. Maybe she's had this patient before, this type of patient before. She's going to know kind of what's coming. And I think that's also something that's huge, is being able to be delegated to and have that comfortableness that we can share. Like, Gabby knows that she could tell me to go wipe the patient's, go clean up all the poop all day long. And I'll probably go clean it up. But that's because she's taking care of something that I can't do, but she needs this done, because at the end of the day, we need our patient to be comfortable, getting healthy, getting better, and we each have to play our part. So again, I think that's huge when you think back to the field and think back to the field of nursing now, is being able to take that instruction and go do it, because we're remembering the end goal and where we're headed.
Absolutely. And kind of wrapping up today, what have you learned about COVID-19 that you wish more people would know? Gabby, we'll start with you.
Oh boy. Let me think for a second.
Okay.
It should be taken seriously. I think it's one thing that we've done all this work to quarantine ourselves and did our best to spread awareness of it. It's very real. We've seen the ups and downs of it. We've seen patients be affected by it where they don't even have very many symptoms, and then we've seen the worst of it as well. Nurses are truly, as well as so many other healthcare professionals like doctors, respiratory therapists are a huge one, are on the front lines and doing their very best and risking their own health and their family. Sometimes you have to go home to somebody and they're not a healthcare worker as well. So you're exposing it, you're trying to minimize exposure and whatnot. So it's a serious, it's very complex. We really are trying to minimize exposure and just work our hardest, do our best. And we just ask everybody else to do the same thing. Just be mindful, be aware, wear your mask, do those things. And hopefully, kind of as we were talking about as a team, get through this together kind of thing. I always believe in hope. And I feel like the STICU has offered me so much hope in this pandemic, and there's no other unit I'd rather be at. I feel like the teamwork we find there, and just me and Savannah were talking about it too, just your coworkers, just the person next to you, always willing to jump in and help. We never know what's going to come through the doors for a trauma unit. We just never know. But just the attitude there is more than willing to help and do your best, and patient safety and hopefully to improve patient outcomes is just always on our mind. So.
Very well said, Gabby. And Savannah, will wrap this up for you. Same question. What would you like to say to people in regards to what you've seen during this pandemic and what people should know as we continue the fight?
That was very well said, Gabby. I guess I'll just almost like a reiteration of the nurses, the providers, the healthcare workers are doing their very best. And taking the precautions and measures that they need to appropriately. And like Gabby said, do the simple things that they're asking us to do. Even if you don't agree, there's a reason to it. And as healthcare workers, I just find that our daily lives they're impacted mentally, physically, emotionally right now because we're seeing the extremes of our patients on both sides of it, getting better, getting worse. But then we're coming home to our families. So I do live with my family. And we have that as a precaution and a risk that we've been willing to take, and that they've joined me and supported me so that I could, again, achieve the goal of becoming a nurse, to be like those who I work with, but also realizing that we could potentially be affected. So with that being said, do the simple things that they're asking us to do. Wear your mask, wash your hands. Like she said, I think it's important to be aware, be self-aware, who you're around, how are you feeling? And again, like we will get through this together, but it takes each person to do it. It's not just one person who will save the world with what's going on. We have to each play our part I'm trying to think of how we each have to play our part so that we can, again, achieve, I don't know how to say it. We each need to play, I don't know how to say it, but like we need to like play our part as just a human in society so that we can take care of this pandemic. And based off the way it spreads. I think the last thing I would say is be thankful and thank your healthcare workers. That's super important. If you're even some of my greatest moments with this COVID right now are when I've been working, doing the actual COVID testing and urgent care. Every single person that comes by is thank you for what you guys are doing. Be patient, be thankful, and let the healthcare workers know that you're thinking of, like, that you're praying, that you have that hope for us. Just those little words mean so much, and can really put that brightness into that day for the nurses and providers and healthcare workers, the staff, the people who clean. Everybody's involved. It's a team effort. And I sometimes think we forget about the behind the scenes actions that are going on as well, so that each room can be cleaned appropriately for the next patient. So be thankful for sure.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to thank you two so much for sharing your story, and thank you for everything you two have done during this pandemic. Stay healthy and safe, and not even from the CAA, but thank you from everyone for what you've been doing. It's been remarkable indeed. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words.